Welcome back to the Fantasy Kings podcast. I'm your host, The Peez, joined by my co-host, Carlitos. Say what up.
What up, everybody? How you doing, Peez?
Doing great, man. Getting ready to talk about my favorite subject, the running backs. So what we're going to do today is we are going to look at the top 12 running backs.
Running backs. Y'all.
Ranked by, we're going to use the expert consensus ranking, the ECR, and give you a little bit of our thoughts on basically what you should be looking to pay for those guys if you want them in auction.
Absolutely.
Yep. So first off, we've got Christian McCaffrey ranked number 1, run CMC. He's a bad man, but if you want him in an auction league, you got to be willing to spend between 30 and 35% of your budget to go get him. He's not cheap, but he produces.
And do you think you're going to get him again this year for the 4th consecutive year in a row?
Probably.
I'm sure. I don't doubt it, and I bet you he will overspend. He's accustomed to always overspending on CMC. I think I'll just go ahead and avoid him. I'm just going to pick Austin Eckler right off the bat. He got paid. He's a workhorse. He's on a good team. They win a lot, and I think he was like 50% of like all of the Chargers offense last year, and also had the most touchdowns. So I'm looking to get Eckler if I'm targeting a running back first, and I'm willing to spend up to 30% for him. But hopefully not, but I'm willing to.
Yeah, I mean, Eckler at 2 is at the ECR is unsurprising. I think you're going to have to spend more to get him. We'll see how it goes. Number 3 on the ECR is going to be Saquon Barkley, who did not get a new deal.
He did not get paid.
Yeah, so he's on the franchise tag, so we'll watch and see how that goes. But Barkley's the guy that I see going around 30% in 30% of your auction budget. So that's that. I'd be okay with him there. It's just one of those things where you got to get closer to the season to see what he's really going to do.
Exactly. I think this year more so you're paying premium prices, whereas last year you were getting a heavy discount and you basically got a top 5 running back easily. This year you're going to get one, but you're going to have to pay for it.
Yep.
I'll throw in somebody who's super high risk, high reward, but he's got all the talent in the world. He's new. He's a rookie. Bijan Robinson. At the 4th pick. I think it would honestly be stupid not to go after someone who's going to get the full workload. I think they're going to trust in him. He's young. He's got the wheels. And I'm willing to spend anywhere between 20 to 25% just on him. If I can get him as my RB1, I think I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. If I don't get CMC, I'm going to be targeting Bijan, but he is, like you said, he's a rookie. So there's a lot that's really going into that. We're just going to have to see what happens. Rookie running backs, high risk, high reward. And to get Bijan, you're going to have to pay.
Right.
So number 5 on the expert consensus ranking is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Last year, got hurt, had some injury concerns after a monster year the year before. But I think the value is there.
It's still there, and I agree. I think people are kind of sleeping on him a little bit. But from an auction perspective, totally cool with him being a number 1 too, depending on where you get.
I see him going in the 25 to 28% range is what I think, because you're going to get a little bit of the injury discount from last year, but depending on what other running backs we're looking at, he's kind of on that level for me to where just a slight below the top 4.
I agree, because I think he's going to be used as a dual threat. Speaking of dual threat, let's talk about Tony Pollard. He also did not get paid. But his talent last year, I think anyone who watched Cowboys games really saw that he was the one that had the spark. He was the one that had the juice. He was the one that had the burst through all the holes. And some of those games, he just went off. I think this year he's going to get way more of a chance. Even though he didn't get paid, I think they'll still use him regardless of him getting that long-term contract. So I think he's an easily, between 18 to max 25% is your RB1 as well.
Yeah, and with Pollard, it's one of those things where he is he's coming off an injury, but he's a Cowboy. And, Cowboy fans are always going to spend money for their guy. So I think Pollard's going to go for a lot more than maybe the guys ranked ahead of him, just because that's the nature of the beast. But at number 7 here, we've got another guy who didn't get paid, is still on the franchise tag, Josh Jacobs. Now, Jacobs crushed last year. RB1, killing the game. He was the surprise. Last year, preseason, there were a lot of people talking about how he wasn't even worth being drafted in the top 30 of running backs.
Yeah, and I think he's one of 3 Alabama running backs. It goes Derrick Henry's the first one, the longest one in the league, and then he's right after, who's also just been workhorse galore. I mean, last year he's single-handedly beat me in a couple of rounds, and I was pissed. Yeah. Always at the worst time, but I think from an auction perspective, he didn't get paid. But what do you? I think conservative, depending on your style, I think between 15 to maybe 22-25% would be if you really love him. But even then, he's definitely going to go for around 15 to 20%.
I think he's closer to 20%, bordering on 25%. But the thing is, he might hold out.
Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, absolutely. And also, with the Patriots, which bring up Ramondre Stevenson, he was a beast last year, just like Jacobs. He has the opportunity fully this year. It looks like Damian Harris just fell off a cliff, and everyone else did too. So I think he's getting the full nod, the full green light. I'm willing to pay potentially up to 20% because New England is traditionally not a passing team, and they run the rock, they pound, and I think that's a guy that we should target. Maybe at the early first, second round spot would be good for him. Still is an RB1 potential upside, but I think more or less he'd be a solid RB2.
Yeah. And at number 9 in the ECR, we've got Nick Chubb. Now, he doesn't get too many catches, but Nick Chubb is going to be the workhorse in Cleveland. He's going to get their goal line work. He's going to get probably 20 carries a game. He's a guy that is just always consistent, I feel like. So Nick Chubb, at number 9, I feel pretty good about him. I honestly think you can get Chubb around 18%, maybe a little bit higher or lower, just depending on how the draft is going. But Chubb is one of those guys who I'll probably be targeting as my, targeting to try to get maybe a little bit of a discount on because people are looking at some bigger names.
Absolutely. And this year, I think I'm actually going to really try to target him. And one particular reason every year previously, I didn't even have him on my radar. Then I play up against him, and I'm like, why didn't I get this guy? So I'm definitely looking for an opportunity to get him because I'm usually going to go wide receiver first, but I think I would be super comfortable having him as my RB1. He's going to get you stats and touches. So after him, another bruiser is Derrick Henry the King. This guy single-handedly has just won people leagues by himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can really go off for 4 touchdowns in a game, and over 100 yards. Yeah, easy. It's almost like his people are sleeping on him a little bit. He's aging. He's getting a little bit older. The just style. They just got a new wide receiver there in DeAndre Hopkins, but I mean, I think Derrick Henry is still going to have that brand name recognition to go anywhere between 15 to 20%. And I think he has the RB1 caliber with him as well.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of a injury history, and he's got a lot of carries, but he's still, it's one of those, he's still producing. So Derrick Henry at number 10. So bringing up number 11, talking about injuries, Breece Hall for the Jets. He got hurt last year. He was having a hell of a year, but now the Jets' offense is completely different with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to see a lot less defenders in the box just on Rodgers' presence alone. So Breece Hall's another guy. Right now, ECR's got him at 11, and he's a guy who I would say is probably, again, depending on your draft, you're looking at between 15 and 20% of the budget. But he's one of those guys that I'll be looking to maybe sneak in, and try to get him at a little bit of a discount if some people fall asleep.
And I agree. And I think the Jets, this year there's a little bit of buzz around them. They're on Hard Knocks. You got Aaron Rodgers there, so I think they could throw. I think they could run. And he's basically the guy that they've trusted in, and he had the opportunity to be spectacular last year, and I think he has the opportunity again this year, so I'm cool with that. Speaking of last year, though, let's talk about someone who's kind of a dud, maybe at least where you drafted him. Najee Harris. He's going to be rounding it off at the 12th spot. I'm happy with him being, your final RB1, if that's who you want to invest in. Last year, I think he had the opportunity. The year before that, he was a beast. He just didn't produce. I mean, he had the touches. I think is really more related to the Steelers' offensive line. But this year, not that they got crazy better, but I think he's just was in a down year last year, and I think he's going to have all the touches. And I think from a percentage of your budget, I'm comfortable with anyone paying at least 15% of their total budget on him, and that's good.
Yeah, I agree. 15% sounds pretty good for Najee. A little bit higher, maybe, if you're trying to get, if you need a running back. He's a guy that's, he's going to get touches. He's a touch monster. The volume's there. He's got a very high floor, but his ceiling isn't as high as you might like to see. But I still think him at number 12 is pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with our top 12 ECR running backs and what we think we're going to, what we're looking to spend at an auction for them. Collin, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I just, I'm a little interested in just how it's going to go because I think basically everybody we talked about in the top 12, some people can be fortunate enough to spend all of their budget depending on their style to get the top 2 within, this group. But most people are going to have, the majority of these names is just their RB1. So I think all these players have excitement and the opportunity to be there. It's just who's actually going to perform.
And that's what's great about auction. You go get your guys, build your roster how you want. So that'll close our episode on running backs. Keep an eye out for our episode on receivers. Will be coming out shortly. And remember, when you play fantasy,
play for the crowd.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Fantasy Football Kings. You can always reach out to us on Twitter at FFB_Kings or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're available wherever you get podcasts, so don't forget to download, subscribe, review, and rate 5 stars.